Hello, I'm Ben Rich. I'm the Vice Chair, and I'm standing in for Councillor Bob Webb, who is on paternity leave. We've also got some people joining us for the first time today, including Fleur Kennedy, and it seems to me appropriate, if you don't mind me saying, this is sort of the cycle of life. We're very sorry for you that we've lost Darius, who is a sort of huge contributor to this committee, and enjoyed seeing him over the years. It's lovely that you're replacing him at the table, and nice to be then talking about births at the same time. So I thought it would be useful for everybody just to go around the room and say who we are and who we represent, and then we'll kick off. So start with.
Hi, I'm Angela, the Democracy Officer for the meeting.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wilson, and I'm here representing the Labour Group as one of the councillors.
Chairman, can I ask if I can just...
Yeah, please come and sit somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello, I'm Emily Knight, and I'm Ward Councillor for Rural West, and I represent the Lib Dem Group.
Come and sit at the table.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the end. Yeah.
Or you can, or here if it's easier for you. If it's easier for you, Tony. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. Martin.
Councillor Martin Rowley. I am the Conservative representative here, and I have been on SACRE. I think I'm the third longest serving now after Ben and Penny. So obviously Maxine. So I've been here for 6 years.
Fleur?
I'm Fleur Kennedy, and I'm here to represent the Baha'i faith.
And we have some new representatives who I'll sort of formally introduce in just a moment.
I am Karen Vincent. I am your representative from the Catholic faith. I work at All Saints School just down the road. That's me.
Penny?
My name's Tony Lawton. I'm a very retired solicitor. For all my professional life in York, from 1966 onwards, I was legal advisor for both the Diocese of Leeds and the Diocese of Middlesbrough. In those days, the boundary ran down the Ouse.
And that's the Catholic diocese. Maxine?
Yeah. So I'm Maxine Squire. I'm the local authority advisor to SACRE.
Lovely. And then we've got a couple of people online. So Penny, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Penny Siddall. I represent the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I know Fleur a little bit.
And Taco?
Hi there, good evening. My name is Taco McKeels. I'm a teacher at Joseph Rantry School, and I'm one of the representatives on Group C.
Lovely. And last but definitely not least, Dee.
Hi there, I'm Dee Boyle. I'm not sure who I'm representing actually today, because I'm a Unitarian Buddhist pagan and also Vice Chair of York Interfaith Group, and a lot of years in RE education when I was teaching before I retired. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Good to have you. So we have 5 people who are joining the committee. I suppose I should give the committee the opportunity to say if you have any objections, but it's not within our powers. They're actually formally appointed by full council, is that right?
Stepping matters in urgency.
Right. So we have Mark Jones, who's not here today, Fleur representing Baha'is, Colin, who's not, Lewison, who's not here today, but replacing the humanist Ian, the humanist representative, Dee Boyle, who's just introduced herself and is an interfaith committee all on her own, and Tony Lawton, representing Catholic. So are we all, I assume we're all very delighted to see you here. So thank you very much for joining us. Great, so let's move on. So we now come to the minutes for those who were at the, I should have started by doing declarations of interest. So if you'd like to keep a spot what it says about declaring your interest, but I'm assuming that nobody has any further interest to declare.
No.
Okay, good. So we now move on to the committee minutes. And firstly, any
Thank you, Chair. Just can my apologies please be added? The reason is that as elected members, our attendance at meetings and committees is recorded on our attendance figures with the council. So I always ensure that my apologies are given. So for whatever reason it wasn't picked up here, but if it can be added. Thank you, Chair.
and any other corrections? Okay, any matters arising? If you're online, you've got any matters arising, just stick your hands up, sort of electronic hands. No matters arising, so the minutes are approved. And we now come to the annual report. Now, we are missing anybody from Group B, which is the Church of England group. So we are not formally for it, which I think means that we can have a look at the annual report. The people who are in this room can decide whether they would approve it, and then we'll have to put together a separate meeting.
Yeah, just to ensure there will need to be a separate meeting drawn from representatives of the 4 groups that make up SACRE to agree that the report can be submitted.
But in the
And
meantime,
that can be done virtually. Yeah.
right. So we will hold that meeting to follow this up, but let's actually have the substantive discussion here. If anyone's got any comments, Martin.
Sorry, I think Maxine's answered my question. We haven't got anybody from Group B online then?
No.
Because that was one of the things we were trying to get some clarity around, wasn't it? So had somebody from Group B been online,
that would have been fine,
okay.
yeah, because we took
right.
that decision last year.
Yeah, I thought we
would be quorate as a hybrid meeting.
Brilliant, thank you, thanks, Chair.
But we are sadly not. Notwithstanding that, does anybody have any comments they want to make or on
No,
the?
just before we discuss the report, the report does have to follow a set format, which is provided by SACRE, the National Association of SACREs. So I follow that template very, very closely in terms of what goes into the annual report. The annual report is always of the previous academic year. So it's 23-24, even though we're now in 24-25. So they're always a year out of sync when you actually submit them. A few things just to comment on. At the time that I wrote this report, which was just before Christmas, in order to get it into the timeline for our corporate scrutiny committee, we didn't have any RE Key Stage 4 subject results. They are now available. So what I intend to do is circulate the report with those in, and then it can be agreed through an online meeting. But again, in terms of what we know about RE in schools, it remains a strong option in York schools. It's very successful at Key Stage 5, which is A level. And also you can pleasingly see that at A level, it's also a very inclusive subject. So they're unlike many other aspects of York's data, there isn't a disadvantage gap at A level at RE. The disadvantaged students actually did as well as other students, as did 4 students who had special educational needs. All of those gained A star to C grades, which are the top grades at A level. So it's showing itself to be a subject that's very well taught, and with subject specialists at Key Stage 5, and that's reflected in the results that are achieved. At Key Stage 4, there's still high levels of take-up across York schools. All our secondary schools continue to maintain full course GCSE RE. That's not the case nationally. And also results range from 90% down to the high 70s at grade 4 and above. So the percentage of good passers in RE remains very strong as well in the city. I'll get on to some of the other findings from the school survey, but there were a few things that came out of that. Comments around developing children's understanding of subject-specific vocabulary was one of the things that came out of that school survey. Assessment and monitoring of standards in RE, a resource bank to support the agreed syllabus, access to visitors from different faith groups, and supporting inclusion for children with SEND were all things that teachers reported that they'd got as priorities for development. Also, this year, we had 2 members from committees B and C who attended the SACRE conference and obviously did report back to SACRE about how that conference went and also some of the learning that came from it. This year is going to be quite a crucial year because 2026 will mark the review of the agreed syllabus. And what we will need to do is start to devote some time this year on how we're going to handle that. It is quite a major piece of work.
Thank you very much, Maxine. So we're discussing the annual report. I've just explained we're not core. We all went around and introduced ourselves and gave a half-an-hour lecture on each of our face. But would you like to just, we've been joined, so would you like to just introduce yourself? Yes, if you press the mic button, the green button.
Okay, my name's Mark Jones and I'm the Buddhist representative.
Lovely. And we agreed that we had, whilst it's not our power to appoint you, we agreed we were delighted to have new members joining us. So thank you and welcome. So now, with that, in those introductory comments, has anybody got anything that they wish to add or say about the report? Emily.
Oh, thank you. I've just got a quick question. I noticed that we know that girls are studying, I'm talking about A-level here, that girls are studying it more than boys, which isn't really a surprise. But we also note that the boys are outperforming the girls. And I'm just wondering if there's any scope for understanding why. We could do perhaps something that's anonymised, so we're not identifying the school, we're not identifying any teachers or pupils, but just to have an understanding of what's happening there. Yeah, I think that would be useful.
Fine. Yeah, I will. I'll think of how we do that and get something out to the subject leaders, so that they're able to give some extra context to what's happening there.
Martin.
It's kind of a follow-up, really. It's more of a comment and more for Maxine, but hopefully of interest to this group. So my daughter did GCSE at school. She then went on and selected the subject in A-level, but there's a very huge difference between the GCSE syllabus and the A-level syllabus, which this comment might be welcomed around the table, but it's far more wider in terms of the scope of religious belief and none in the A-level syllabus compared to the broadly Christian syllabus of GCSE. I don't know if members around the table were aware of that. My daughter then dropped it for lots of personal reasons, but I think it's just an interesting observation from a parent of someone in this particular group that did both GCSE. It was her highest achieving GCSE, so very switched on, but it wasn't for her in A-level. So yeah, just an observation there.
Yeah, I think from a teacher's perspective, there is something to be said about the syllabus perhaps not appealing to boys at A-level who maybe felt that at GCSE there would be something in it for them. I think that thinking about our kind of students that we've got, we have more girls than boys at A-level. I think some of that is because our GCSE is very Catholic based. And for the majority of boys, they've had enough at GCSE. And so the thought that potentially they're then going to have to do that at A level, even though the course is vastly different. I think for them, they just kind of feel I've done my due, and that's kind of where I'm at. But I can only speak for our students.
And probably it'd be interesting to find out whether the boys that took it at A level are from. Oh, be interesting to just do a little bit more of a deep dive into the boys that took it at A level. Were they in one of our secular sixth forms rather than the church sixth forms?
Any other comments? I'm looking particularly online just in case anybody wants to come in. I'm going to chuck my tuppence worth in and then I'll come back to Emily. It strikes me it's moderately useful to have 1 year's figures, and sort of the comment about the previous year. I'd be really interested in perhaps a 3-year trend, because I suspect we'll find those sort of figures about boys and girls probably are just we're dealing with low numbers anyway. It may not be a trend before we start drawing conclusions. Emily.
Thank you. Just thought popped into my head, and I don't know whether this is well beyond our remit, but it just occurred to me that thinking about the point you made and you were making about the syllabus being very different, I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do, providing information for parents in that run up to that choice of subjects, setting out a little bit what's involved both at GCSE level and A level. I know the school probably do it to a certain extent, but I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do to reinforce that. To give some guidance, to encourage people perhaps to take it at A level. I don't know.
Interesting idea. I'm not quite sure. I'm Taco, since you're the representative of a school, I don't know what you already do to encourage people to take it to A level.
Hi, good evening. Well, for us at Joseph Rowntree, we actually do the A level in philosophy rather than the A level in religious studies. So for us, it's a completely different course anyway. And actually, we've got there's kind of a small group at the moment of 6, and there's 2 girls and 4 boys. So again, you sort of see that uptake in that way. But as far as kind of advertising, I suppose the course we have opportunities. We have sixth form days when year 11 are allowed to come in and sort of have a taster session. We have the evenings, and also throughout the year when we're talking to year 10 and year 11, I'm always sort of putting little bits of philosophy and things in there just to sort of give them a bit of a taster of what it's like at A level. For example, we just did with year 9. We just did some utilitarianism with them, which I was a bit young for the year 9s, but they really enjoyed it, and they've just given them that little bit of a flavour. So that's the sort of thing that we do. I think if you've got subject specialists who really want to sell the subject at A level, which I'm sure all of them want to do, will be doing that in their lessons and doing in the conversations they have with their students to try and kind of push that a little bit further forward. But I do think from one or two things people were saying, I think sometimes, as you said, one of the things that puts the students off is considering the fact that the GCSE is one sort of package, and they assume that the A level will be the same. And having taught the RSA level as well, I can absolutely vouch that it is a completely different course. And so I think that's maybe something which is obviously not up to us, but that's something that might need to be sort of looked at a higher level as to kind of how to bridge between the two, and trying to get students to understand how different the A level actually is sometimes due to their actual kind of ability and attainment at that point when they're in year 11 before they start in year 12, and getting their head around some of the Augustinian things that you might do can be a little bit tricky trying to explain that to them at year 11. But I think most schools will push and will try really, really hard to get students into their sixth form, and hopefully give them the right information. But I think again it really helps with subject specialists. That's really where it's at.
Look.
Sorry. Obviously I'm new to this, so I'm not quite sure but I'm just aware from personal experience, having a child in year 9 at Joseph Rowntree's, that this year GCSE isn't compulsory and it'll be an option. So it'll be interesting to see the take up. So like all of this is all classed in one. It'd just be interesting with a school going from everybody having to take RE to actually what does it look like when there is a choice to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're obviously really looking forward to seeing that as well at the same time. But just to sort of rest assured as well, I think that the nice thing is with the subject is going to from strength to strength, and we're still having a core RE lesson once a fortnight in year 10 and year 11. So we have the option for a GCSE class, and a number of students have been speaking to me. I need to sort of wait and see figures, but yeah, we still will have the core RE once a fortnight as well as the GCSE as an option.
Taco, it would be very, very interesting if you'd report that back at our next meeting, just out of interest. Anyone else in the room or online like to comment on this? Are we happy for this to go forward in our name to be approved at the next committee? Right, excellent. When we're quorate, we will find a way to approve it. So we now come on to the schools. Oh, D, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, hi, sorry, I'm very new to this, obviously, to being on SACRE, but I just wondered why there was a very specific leaning towards the Christian teachings within schools for RE, when schools are now, well, many schools in the country are actually trying to teach about lots of different faiths, not just a Christian faith. Is there a particular reason why it's still only one main faith that is actually taught?
And to let Maxine have a go at answering that. There's two different types of answers to that.
Yeah. Heidi, some of it's obviously to do with the Education Acts, which we do have an established religion in this country, which is Christian. And so historically, the curriculum has had at its core teaching children about an understanding of Christianity. Many of much of the curriculum that has been set up and is then examined at Key Stage 4, the units that are offered by the exam boards have at their hearts an extensive core which looks at Christian denominations and then other faiths. So it's largely to do with the way that the curriculum and the exam syllabus has been set up in this country over a number of years, and certainly, you know, dating back to the 1945 Education Act.
So D, two things you might want to check.
Yeah, so it's just very strange because when I was before I left education, and I left education in 1995, we were teaching all of the different faiths in our secondary special school, because we had children from all of those faith groups within our school, and so we made sure that we taught about every single faith that was represented within our school. So I'm just surprised that it's not actually covered.
Case,
is it? Okay.
That is still the case, yeah.
The examinations and the way the course is set up, what we're doing is not choosing something different as York. So we obviously have to deliver within the exam programme. Nevertheless, you're in the right place, because as Maxine was just saying, we'll be looking at the York curriculum over the next couple of years, and we have to produce syllabus in 2026, and we can work out how we represent our community properly within that. So hold your horses, we're coming back to it.
Thank you, Ben, thank you.
So we've got the school survey now, which I'm going to look to Maxine to take us through. This is something we do annually?
We do it annually, yes, that's right. So the school survey goes out to schools in the autumn term. So it was November that we put a different type of school survey out this time. So this was the first year that we actually slimmed down with a number of questions that went out with that survey, and really focused it quite closely on some areas that we wanted to find out about. That produced more responses. And so this year, as you'll see, we had 17 schools. So, you know, just round about 2/3 of schools who responded. That was an increase of 6 responses on the previous year. And people did feel that this time the survey was easy to complete, and the answers were actually fuller. So we had fewer questions, but the answers to those questions were much more detailed and full. Of that, we had 14 primary schools that responded and 3 secondary. Very importantly, because of SACRE's responsibility for local authority maintained schools, both our maintained secondary schools responded. So that's Huntington Secondary and Joseph Rowntree Secondary. So both of those responded to this. We had 9 primary academies from 6 multi-academy trusts. So we have 7 multi-academy trusts in the city, but one of those only has 1 school. So all the major large multi-academy trusts, a primary school from each trust did respond. We also had 6 of our local authority maintained primary schools that responded. The school survey captured a mix of schools. So there were faith schools as well as community schools that actually responded. And that's important because obviously the faith schools don't have to follow the agreed syllabus and will follow the syllabus that's set by their diocese. What we asked was in the survey for schools to share any examples of good practice that they had as a way of also starting some networking across the community, the education community in York. And so I've just captured some of the examples of good practice that schools wanted to share. They've all come from different schools. So we've got one here where they say the teachers are good at making RE lessons engaging and do so through a range of learning styles, including drama, debates, use of technology, media, and technology. Another school felt that they've got good progression documents in place for world religions and aspects of understanding Christianity, which are broken down into small steps to show progress. A lot about the enrichments that RE was bringing around the school. So another school talks about large canvases which display the big threes in understanding Christianity and the way that they spent RE days developing the artwork. One school talked about their curriculum being built upon the fullness of life, collaboration and diversity, which allows our children to succeed well in all subjects. Also, children are given many opportunities to embrace something new and develop holistically. Again, a reference to RE days used to promote understanding and discussion of RE, and a range of visitors who brought real life experiences into the school. There was also reference to drawing on a variety of faiths to try and be inclusive, respectful and celebratory and not tokenistic. And a teacher commented, for me, RE teaching is not about gathering facts, rather it's developing our children to be respectful, responsive individuals with a broad awareness of world religions. Another school commented on their curriculum planning as being a strength and their approaches to assessment. One school uses Kahoot as an assessment tool, as well as revisiting previous learning. Said the children love this as it's fun, engaging and an engaging low stakes way of teachers understanding their subject knowledge, and topic books being used to track children's learning and to revisit prior learning with children. So lots of examples of things that people wanted to share and felt was going well in RE. We also asked about things that they wanted to develop in the coming year. So one school commented on developing British values, links to RE, and that to be highlighted during teaching. Continuing to develop staff subject knowledge through staff training was seen as something that would be a priority. Developing methods of assessment, particularly to accurately assess children who have special educational needs, and also those who have English as an additional language were felt to be important. Some schools commented on opportunities to develop further their subject knowledge. So this came from teachers who were filling the survey in and wanting to be provided with opportunities to enrich their subject knowledge. Another area was ensuring that more children who are achieve greater depth, and that was particularly true of children from disadvantaged backgrounds. And then lots more rich information, make prior knowledge clear at the beginning of each lesson so children can build on and strengthen their links with prior learning. Finding more ways of exposing children to other religions and cultures was felt to be a priority in one school, and developing their children's understanding of vocabulary. A resource bank to support the delivery of the York Agreed syllabus was one of the things that was suggested by some teachers, and continue to learn outside of the classroom and invite more visitors into school to really enrich that experience of learning in RE. And again, you know, there's a lot of talk about resource banks and developing that to help teachers in their delivery of the subjects. And there were a number of comments around how they could open up RE, particularly to support children with special educational needs, so that they felt it was a more inclusive learning opportunity. So lots of richness from our primary school submissions. And then secondary school. What came out from secondary school was the fact that they've got subject specialists who are really passionate about their subjects, and you know, sort of feel very much that they advocate around keeping RE within that secondary school curriculum. They also talked about adapting the standard agreed syllabus to meet the needs of their local community, and that this actually, because the way our agreed syllabus is written, it actually helps them to do that. There was also highlighted enrichment opportunities involving visits to the mosque in Bradford, a Hindu mandir, York Minster, and a conference with a Holocaust survivor. And then they talked about visits that they've got planned for the coming year. Another area of strength from one school was their Key Stage 3 schemes of work linked to the agreed syllabus. That was one thing that they wanted to highlight. And in secondary, the priorities for development were enhancement outside the classroom, particularly school trips and outside speakers, and provision at Key Stage 5. Disciplinary reading, one school that's doing a lot of work about reading was focusing on that in their development plan. Working again towards better inclusion for pupils with SEND. Key Stage 4 delivery, as well as recruiting for a new GCSE option group, was one of the things that was on the agenda in one of those secondary schools. And also I felt it was important to think about what comes back from our RE teachers informs the development of the SACRE development plan. So how we pick up themes from the annual survey to really think about that work plan for SACRE. So I've just got a few suggestions that you might like to discuss. So one is to consider the CPD offer, so that the professional development offer for teachers, using themes from the school survey to think about putting that into the development plan. What was clear was that teachers in maths do meet in subject groups, but there's no city-wide meeting, particularly in the secondary phase. So in the primary phase, we've got subject leaders meeting in their multi-academy trusts. We've also got the maintained schools meeting separately in their RE separate group, but there's nothing that brings everybody together at the moment. And the SACRE is used to signpost to resources through developing the SACRE newsletter for schools, and I know there's more about that later. And also perhaps to consider whether SACRE wants to commission a CPD event in 24-25 that focuses specifically on inclusion and SEND in RE.
Thank you very much, Martin. I think what I'd like, just before I come to you, Martin, what I'd like to suggest is we sort of deal with this in two parts. So
the actual findings from the survey, and then
that's right. So I was going to engage with that and the findings from the survey, and then our development plan, which is our work plan effectively. What do we want to take out of this? Because this is a working document, and to particularly remember for that development plan. So can we first sort of focus on what we've just heard about what schools are doing, whether there are any questions about that for clarity or anything that we want to particularly highlight? Martin.
Thanks, Chair. I've got comments to make on both of those, so I'll save my second comment when we look at it. But in terms of the report itself, I'm encouraged by the increase and also the mix of schools that are on there. One of the things that does encourage me, and I think it's a challenge for all schools, that's on the secondary school examples of good practice, was around the piece on enrichment opportunities in RE, and the involvement of lots of different faith groups and none. But I am also encouraged. I know that in the past, one or two members of SACRE have been slightly concerned about the yo-yo group. And whilst I don't want to make a comment on that, what I would say that it's really encouraging that those teachers and subject leaders are actually looking outside of, and I would encourage, rather than, you know, wanting to kind of prevent or curtail a particular type of group coming in, to encourage other groups to come in, which will give more of a balance. So I was very encouraged on that. So they were the main two things on the report. You know, it's taken a while to get to this stage, and I know that you know we've worked very hard, and Maxine and her staff have worked really hard on this. So that's my comment about the report itself, and in terms of how we move forward, I'll have a comment about that when we come to that point. Thank you, Chair.
Sarah.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I just echoing what Martin said, but also the fact that we've got such in-depth answers makes it really useful, particularly in terms of the next step of doing the development, and shows the pride that teachers have in teaching RE, which is really nice to see as well. So yeah, and yeah, well done on the survey, getting all of that out of them this time. That's really good to see.
Penny, online.
Yes, it was just an interfaith comment, really, that as interfaith, York Interfaith, we don't see York schools approaching us and coming to us, either to ask us collectively or individually, you know, saying, can you help with this or with that? We don't actually get a lot of traffic that comes to us. We are actually going to Pocklington School, to Walgate School on Friday as an interfaith group, which I know is outside of York, isn't it, as such as we look at it. But they have we did it for the first time last year, and we're going to go on an ongoing basis, and there are people on this call who've been a part of that. But the mention in the report of people coming in, we know that sometimes people are approached individually, but as an interfaith group, there isn't much traffic coming to us from York schools, even though they want people to enhance and enrich their curriculum. So I don't know if part of our plan moving forward is to help with that, or raise that, or put that in front of teachers a bit more somehow.
Lovely, thank you, Penny. I'm just going to...
It's just a really quick response to that comment, that was all.
Well, it's a bit naughty.
Chair, I didn't want to move away and then not. So effectively it's a supplementary.
Can I bring Karen in and I'll come back to you?
Okay.
Just in terms of Penny, what you were saying about about interfaith. I can only speak for All Saints. I kind of sit in different camps on here. But from a teacher's perspective and from All Saints' perspective, we have to be really careful because we're a Catholic school. And so the main aim, not the main aim, but one of the main aims is to make sure that Catholicism is kind of there. I would love for loads more interfaith stuff, but I don't have any power or authority or any other means to get that in. I would love it. We have yo-yo in, which is great, but I would love lots more, but I can't do that.
So Martin and then Fleur, and then I'm going to have my tuppence worth.
Thank you, Chair. It was just a very light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek response to Penny, in that as the Lord Mayor-elect, I have written to the York Interfaith Group asking if I can meet with them, and I've not had a response, and that email went 3 weeks ago.
There you go, Dee, Penny.
I haven't seen
Sure,
an
that's not off. No, we're not going to discuss it. Fleur.
Yeah, it's really good to see that there's lots of, they have been interacting with lots of different types of religion. But my point being is that secondary school that my children have been to over the past 10 years, 4 kids that have all gone through it, they've all been Baha'is. It's on their thing. Not once have they asked for a Baha'i representative to come and talk at all at the school. So I think it's selective in terms of which faiths they might approach. So it's very good that they are reaching out, but actually, and again, I know there's some teacher from Joe here, the experiences that I've had haven't actually been that the children have gone to any of these extra things, apart from a visit to the York Minster. That's the only thing that I'm aware of that's been offered. So I'm sorry, I'm bringing personal stuff into here and experience.
Absolutely valid.
Sorry.
So I'm going to chuck in my tuppence worth, which, because it follows on quite neatly from what you've just said. Firstly, I can only talk about the Jewish community's experience, but I have to say we've definitely seen a significant uptake over the last couple of years, and we're now getting probably at least 1 request a fortnight. I've certainly had 3 in the last fortnight. So it may be that schools, and it makes sense, are looking to hear about a particular faith at a particular time and approach them directly. I do think your point, Fleur, is really important. One of the, we're under lots of pressure to constantly put people up. Actually, schools should consider their parents as a resource, and should be reflecting what the community's faith beliefs are as well. So that might be something for our development plan, leaping ahead a bit, that we encourage schools to think about, because that way I'm going to probably find it a little bit easier. Which doesn't mean that they shouldn't come through the interfaith group. The only other thing I wanted to say, since I'm putting my tuppence worth here, is I suspect that the responses we get are not representative, even though we've got far more responses. The fact that people are responding are probably in itself means that people are more engaged.
Yeah.
And so I'll place my normal urge, which is, as much as the team can, sending out the survey more than once, following up, making a point of picking some schools to see if you can pick up the phone too would be
Just
helpful.
to clarify, there isn't a team, it's me.
When I was Deputy Director of Policy for the Liberal Democrats, I was one of 2. Anyway, there we go. Right, other comments on this before we move on?
Yeah, just a quick one. And apologies if I've missed this point, but what do we, once we've got this survey, do we then send it back to all the schools? Because I think it might be useful for schools who didn't respond.
Yeah, you said we did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a
get to
really,
see
really good point.
what's
Yes.
coming back. So
Yeah.
they may feel less intimidated, is a strong word,
Yeah.
but do you know what I mean? They might feel a bit, oh, I see what they're wanting now.
Yeah.
We can do
Yeah, I'm
that.
quite happy to send out this PowerPoint out to all schools. Yeah.
That'd be good. So I see Dee online, and then we're going to go into talking about the development plan. Dee.
Thanks. Yeah, it was really following on from all of your comments there. And I also refer back to the comment that was made about that SACRE was possibly going to be doing a newsletter to be sent into schools. And I just wondered if within that newsletter that is sent, if it's going to be sent on a regular basis, perhaps York Interfaith Group could get a mention in there to let people know that we do exist at least, and that way they've at least got the option then of contacting people from York Interfaith Group should they want people to go into their schools.
Thank you, Dee. Sorry, Emily's.
Yes, thank you, Dee. Just to let you know, I've been doing some work on our newsletter, which we're going to discuss after this meeting because it's more about colours and things. But rest assured, that is something that I've put right at the top, is that we get interfaith more involved and get more involved from the different faith groups actually to get that input, which is then going to go back to schools. So watch this space.
Great. So now let's think about how all of this impacts on our work plan. If you have a look at the agenda, that item 6 is monitoring of standards. That's just an error.
Yeah.
So we're sticking to the agenda. We're thinking about the development plan. Given we haven't got a copy of it in front of us, Maxine, do you want to
I know
just...
yourself and Bob went through it, didn't you? And yeah.
But some time ago,
Some
so
time ago.
remind us, for those of us who haven't seen it.
Yeah, okay, so let me pick up a copy of it again. One of the things that we'll do with future agendas is ensure that the development plan is always circulated as part of it. As I say,
Actually, do you want to go at your history right and over because it's coming up on the screen.
right, okay, sorry.
Just whilst we're finding the
bring
development
the
plan,
development
can those people who are online see what's eventually coming up on that screen?
Only the presentation I was shown in
Okay,
the previous one.
so I'm sorry, online, you're it's why you need to come. If you want all
And what
the
we
full
can
excitement
do
of the meeting.
is, recirculate the development plan with the minutes. Or even send them out actually,
I think that would be
yeah.
helpful. So this is the development plan for SACRE's work rather than for the curriculum or for
That's right, yeah.
talk among yourselves.
Yeah.
Martin,
Thank you.
fill the
Just-
gap.
I mean, the slide that was up there, the last slide of the was some development plan ideas.
Yeah.
Might we just speak to that for a moment? Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we
please
could do so. The development plan ideas from that Maxine had taken out were to consider a CPD offer for teachers using themes from the school survey, teachers in maths to meet together with all schools, I think was the point that was made. So to have joint school teacher meetings, whether or not schools were maintained or maths, signposted resources through the SACRE newsletter, which also speaks to interfaith, and commission a CPD event on inclusion and ascend. Are those all recommendations we'd like to adopt? Martin.
Thank you, Chair. So I just have a couple of comments about these. One is in terms of kind of the CPD offers for teachers, and I guess for those who are at the table who don't know, my day job, I own and run a funeral directors. I'm the owner of Rowley and Sons Family Funeral Services. I guess that whilst my business has nothing per se to do with SACRE, what I would say is that nothing focuses the mind on what happens afterwards, if anything happens afterwards. But when you're faced with death, and I know that there are 6 funeral directors in York, and every one of us could be meet on a regular basis. Every one of us would be more than happy to be involved in some CPD program that opened our premises up to allowing teachers to come, or anybody really. We do have open days, as odd as that may sound. But I'd certainly encourage teachers to contact myself or any of the funeral directors. That was the first thing. The other thing is, it talked about a secondary school teachers do not have a citywide meeting. Could we facilitate that? And then thirdly, I have I have been a school governor for 33 years this year. I'm trying to find people that have been a school governor longer than me. There's one person that I know, in Peter Lee. But I'm the SEND governor for the school at Archbishop Holgate School, where I'm currently a governor. And I'm just curious as to how a focus on inclusion, the SEND and RE, how that would work. Because I don't know how it doesn't work, if that makes sense. So they're my 3 points, Chair. Thank you.
So other comments for the development plan, Sarah?
Thanks, Chair. I don't know the answer to this. Do you know who's given back which surveys from the schools?
Yes,
So there's really good examples of good practice.
Yes.
So I know that one of the things that schools have asked for is ideas of things to do, and I can see that we've sort of answered some of those with the good practice that's going on in schools. So a facilitated CPD day where there is some opportunity, and possibly those schools that have talked about that really good practice, whether primary or secondary, then presenting or sharing what they do. Like, I know there's the assessment bit, and I know there's people who've said, oh, we want some ideas on assessment, so you feel like we could do some
showcase
dovetailing of what's already going on as good practice is a really nice way as a teacher to learn what you can then put into practice as well.
So I've got the development plan up. Obviously, it definitely does need refreshing because it's 22 to 24. So it officially ended in December. So we need to move it on. So there are 5, the SACRE development plans are shaped around the 5 key functions of SACREs. Can you? Yeah, thanks.
So we'll try and summarise a little bit for those online.
Yeah, so there are 5 key functions of SACREs, and you're actually encouraged to write your development plan in response to these. So the first is to improve the management of SACRE and build the partnership between SACRE and other key stakeholders. Second is promoting improvement in standards, quality of teaching and provision in RE. The third is evaluating the effectiveness of the locally agreed syllabus. 4 is promoting improvements in the provision and quality of collective worship. And 5 is contributing to cohesion across the community and promotion of social and racial harmony. So they're the 4 functions of SACREs. They're the 4 things, they're 5 things that SACREs are asked to focus their work on. So in our current development plan, between 22 and 24, the main area that we were looking at was raising awareness of York SACRE. And so it was about increasing the profile, reviewing the membership, supporting the interfaith logo competition, which did happen, and establishing links with existing youth voice groups. And obviously you did, this time last year, you did actually sample youth voice. But again, it's something that needs to continue. The next area was providing RE teachers with high quality professional development, which meets their needs and supports the delivery of the agreed syllabus. One of the things that we did do in 2022 was that we commissioned a workshop from the humanists, and they provided an online workshop in response to some teachers who'd asked for some support with teaching humanism as part of the non-faith part of the curriculum. And we did have in autumn 2022 re-established the secondary network meetings. That largely has struggled on, and I think it's one of those things that we really do need to target during 25-26. The third and fourth priorities we combined, so evaluating the effectiveness of the locally agreed syllabus and promoting improvement in provision and quality of collective worship. So we thought about having an annual programme of reports from RE subject leads. Some of that is coming through from this annual survey that we do. Collect the contact details, which we've been doing, and school visits, which obviously have been happening. And one of the things that we do want to get in the diary quite quickly this year is the visit to Fulford Secondary School, and another secondary school as well. So that's our current development plan. Obviously, what we need to do now is start to feel, what do we want to do for the next bit of the cycle, which would take us between 25 and 27. And one of the important things within that timescale is the beginning of the review of our current agreed syllabus, because it will need to be completely reviewed and republished during the year 2026.
So I don't think we can have a valuable discussion in detail about a document we don't have in front of us.
Yes.
But I think what might be helpful is if we could put an item on the next
Yes.
agenda to go through the development plan, and just if anybody wants to put into that draft suggestions now that we think are missing, particularly based on the discussion we've just had about the survey. So that for the next meeting, we get a copy of the development
Yeah.
plan plus a first take of things that we might want
and
to
it
add.
might be useful, Chair, if you also circulate the RAG rated version that yourself and Councillor Webb did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it. Yeah.
I think Councillor Webb has it, so we'll get that back and circulate that version, because that's probably a good place to start.
Yeah. Great, Sarah.
It's more a question really, do we involve schools that are teaching the agreed syllabus in the review of the agreed syllabus, or is it a purely SACRE?
No, we
method?
do. We have to hold what's called an agreed syllabus conference, which basically we invite schools to that as well. There's a lot of support for our current agreed syllabus. Schools do always report that they find it very, very helpful. And I think it's about probably start from a starting point, what would be the even better ifs, I think is what we want to look at in the next review of it. We did also commit as well that we would consider the humanist element within the agreed syllabus, and that was one of the things that we did record as SACRE, that we would consider that when it came up for review.
So just carrying on from that, is there a potential to do a CPD day for RE leads that would do some reviewing of
Yes.
and also sharing good practice?
Yes.
Could we look
Yeah,
at?
absolutely.
running
Yeah. And yeah, I would suggest that's actually quite a good way of beginning that work on reviewing the agreed syllabus.
Other comments on things for the development plan, Sarah? Sorry, Emily.
Yeah, it's just along the same lines, and I was thinking, there's two things on my mind. One is the review is going to be quite a lot of work.
It is.
So I think we need to be cautious about what we commit ourselves to, however much all these wonderful, you know, we want to do all of it, don't we? But that's just a thought. But one thing we were very clear on, and hopefully we will continue to do, is the good practice of having the students coming in, us visiting the schools, opening it up. We talked about holding this meeting in other venues across the city. And I think that ties in quite nicely with the CPD actually, is could, you know, in the same way that we invited the young people to come and find out what we do and tell us about what they like and what they don't like, have a similar event for teachers. In that sort of space of being able to exchange views, and that ticks the box of bringing them together as well. So
an awareness,
covers quite
sort of awareness raising.
I think that'd be useful.
Yeah.
Anyone who hasn't come in yet? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you'd like to. So I'll just chuck in my tuppence worth if I may. So I'm quite surprised, and it's my fault. I thought we had something in there about creating a sort of resource bank.
We didn't. We've discussed it, and obviously we've signposted towards the RE Hub resource bank.
Right.
But yeah, I know. I think it was Councillor Webb who actually was suggesting, is there some more to do around resource banks?
So can we have that as a
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Anything else on development? Okay, so we now come to correspondence on complaints and determinations. Have we had any?
No, we've had no complaints, no determinations.
Okay, the risk of keeping a low profile is that nobody knows to complain to you. Any other business? I know we've got
Yeah.
visits.
Yeah, I think the key thing is obviously to agree the programme of visits for this year. So what I'll do is I'll contact the head teacher at Fulford Secondary School and see if we can get a visit in. I know the idea was so that you built from the primary school visits that you'd done last year and you saw where the children went to and then how their RE developed. Because obviously both Fishergate and St Oswald's feed into Fulford. So that was one of them. And I don't know whether we could twist your arm, Taco, to see a maintained local authority school and an RE department.
Yeah, thanks, Maxine. I think a couple of meetings ago, the same question came up, and I said, oh, I would be quite happy because obviously I think we'd had Ralph Butterfield visited as well. So for
That's
the same
right.
reason,
Yes.
we thought it would be a good idea. So yeah, more than happy to have people come visit.
Taco, I'll get in touch with you out of this meeting so that you can suggest when's a good time.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, great.
So any other business, Claire?
Yes, just in terms of being a member, I guess it's having a development plan, it's just developing myself as a member.
Sorry, can you have a mic on this one?
Sorry, so just as a new member and developing myself and the things for it, I just wondered if there were resources or somewhere that we could
Yes,
be.
we have got some induction
directed.
resources, Fleur, which we'll
Great.
send to new members.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And in terms of obviously you're talking about documents that we haven't ever received.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's
Could be-
difficult when you come to your first meeting and yeah, there are things that you're not aware of. But yes, we'll make sure that we get things like the Constitution sent to you and various other bits and pieces, including the development plan.
So is that part of being a member? We talked about CDP of, RE teachers, is that?
Yeah, one of the
Member-
things obviously that you do get the chance to do as a member of SACRE is that we always ask for some representatives of SACRE to go to the national SACRE conference, and that's quite a good CPD opportunity because you're able then to find out what's happening nationally around SACREs.
So I don't like having lots of any other business, but I've got D and then that will be it. Last chance. No, D.
Yes, thanks. It was sort of in relation to the previous one, but I couldn't get my hand to go up quick enough. Sorry. It was when you were talking about the resources and you'd mentioned about the resource bank. I just wondered whether one of the things that I know has come up within our interfaith circles is the idea of having a venue like an interfaith place, a centre where resources can be kept, where people can go and visit, where school children can go and visit. And I didn't know whether this was something that we might consider for the development plan. I know it's it's a big idea, but I know some areres that do have
there
it.
are some areas of the country, Dee, that do have them.
They
Yeah.
do, yeah. And so it's maybe not out of our remit, but it certainly is something that perhaps the council would be able to help with. It was just one of the thoughts. And another, with regards to any other business, would be, I'm not aware, but are SACRE actually a member of York Interfaith? Have they joined Interfaith? So do they get our newsletters and our own updates? Because I'm not aware whether they've ever become a member, because an organisation can become a member.
Yeah, I'm not sure we are a member, but I know Penny does send us all the correspondence from Interfaith.
There's quite a good crossover, Penny, D, between.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, again, if people were looking at who our members are, it would be quite nice to see that there was a SACRE member as opposed to the individual faith groups, to show that SACRE was there from the educational point of view. So it was just a thought.
That's something we'll need to take away because I'm not certain whether we we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Great.
okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. It's Tony, very short, yeah.
Very short, yes. It's a warning, actually, because I suffer from face blindness. There's a posh word for that called prosopagnosia. It also runs in tandem with another condition, nominal dysphasia, forgetting people's names. When I was chairing meetings in the distant past, I always started, after this developed, by asking for a table plan with names. I've got one or two down on my draft, but could I know who I am, I know who you are, Maxine. You're the
I'm
chairman, but I don't know your name.
Ben Rich, sorry,
Ben
I'm not
Rich.
sure I didn't even introduce myself.
Well,
Ben Rich.
Ben Rich.
We do try to put these out.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just that they're very often they're not facing.
Yes,
you.
I'm,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, thank you.
So
Okay.
I'm going to, if you don't mind, Tony, I'm going to end the meeting, but I'll
Yeah.
let you then carry on doing that.
Okay.
Because then we can let people go. Anything else? Anything I've forgotten? Thank you very much.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes, you can fill it up. Yes, yes.
So we're now having two next. If we needed somebody to teach.